All right, guys, so this next presentation is to introduce the concept of the median of a triangle. It's on page 153. So we're going to be doing some geometric constructions. Geometric constructions are usually done with a straight edge and a compass. And I say straight edge because you're not really doing any measurement. Geometric constructions are done with a compass and a straight edge without measuring, because measuring introduces quite a bit of error into our drawings, whereas if you just do it with the compass, you'll get very accurate drawings. All right, so I recommend that when you get a compass, you get this kind of compass that has a wheel. See the wheel here to change the radius. Other compasses just sort of open and close to change the radius. Those are the cheap ones. And if you're going to have your kids do geometric constructions, which are fabulous, 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 some kids will really love it, they must have this kind of compass, because this compass, the radius won't change arbitrarily. It won't change until you twist the wheel here in the middle. They cost a little bit more money. Actually, they cost quite a bit more money, but if you can even have just one or two good ones in your classroom, it's better than having a whole box of the cheap ones, because they just really don't work for geometric constructions. You need to be very accurate. Okay, so we're going to be introducing the concept of a median. And just so you know, a median, if I were to draw a triangle, I'm just going to draw this for you now. It's not to scale or anything. A median goes from the midpoint of one of the sides over to the opposite vertex. Okay, that's the median. So I just want you to keep that in mind as we do the drawings, all right? Because we're actually going to, this is for background information for you as the teacher. We're not doing this with the child, all right? With the child, we are just going to go ahead and show them how to build it, all right? All right, so just keep that in mind. We're going from the midpoint of one side to the vertex of the other. And I actually show the kids the midpoint. I actually put two dashes like this. If you remember from your geometry, your high school geometry, this means that this side and this side are equal. All right? Which would be true if it was a midpoint. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay. And this version of the album is actually, this new version does a really good job of explaining step by step what you need to do, which is good for you. My version of the album, which was from many years ago, had a really confusing explanation. I remember having to go through that in my training, so you guys have it easy. Okay, so we're going to draw a horizontal line. That's the very first step. All right, so I'm going to draw a horizontal line right here. All right. Okay, and I don't want that big a line, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put two endpoints, so I have a line segment. This line segment is going to be the base of my triangle that we're going to build. All right? Okay. The first thing I want to do is I want to find the midpoint of the base. Midpoint of the base. Okay. So the way we do this is I'm going to adjust the radius so it's maybe bigger, a little bigger than the midpoint. Or, just eyeballing it. I don't want it too small. I don't want it too big. I think that's about right. Maybe 3/4 of the way. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an arc there with the point at one endpoint. I'm going to go to the other endpoint and I'm going to make an intersecting arc. So I now have two arcs that hope you can see that cross each other. All right, and now I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. I'm going to put my one point again on one endpoint. And I'm going to make an arc up here. And then I'm going to go to the other endpoint and make an intersecting arc. All right, so there you see I have two intersecting arcs above the line and two intersecting arcs below the line. All right, and I'm actually going to take my marker and I'm going to put a dot on both of those. All right, on both of those. Okay. So now what I want to do is very, very lightly for now, if you join those two top arc and bottom arc, if you join them and draw a line between them, this will actually be the midpoint of the line. Okay, that's you can measure it if you want, but that's actually a very accurate way of finding the midpoint of a line. It's similar to finding the perpendicular bisector. Actually, that's what we did, is found the perpendicular bisector, which is a presentation that you should have seen earlier in the course. All right. If you didn't see this earlier in the course, it is in your album, step by step. Just look it up in the table of contents. All right. I don't know how much Uma did of geometric constructions. I love geometric constructions. Some people hate them. If you love them, it's just one of those things. If you love them, then you can share them with some of your kids. A lot of your kids maybe won't do them because they may not be interested or have the fine motor. But if they can do it, the kids can get really excited about this. All right. So we found the midpoint. This is actually going to be the base of the triangle that we're drawing. All right. Now I'm going to draw a point to the right of the bisector line. All right, so I'm just going to draw a point right there. Okay, and I'm going to draw a line between the left, the endpoint that's to the left of the bisector, and join it to this one right here. Okay, so that's actually going to be, this is the first side of my triangle, this is the second side of my triangle, and then I'm just going to join these two to complete my triangle. All right, okay, now, so I have a triangle. All right, now we said that, well, we didn't say it, so let's actually make a line from the midpoint of the base to the opposite vertex, which would be right there. From the midpoint of the base to the opposite vertex. I'm going to use a different color for this. Okay. And that, my friends, is the median of this triangle. That is a median. I'm going to write that down up here. Median. Okay. All right. That's the median. You, at this point, would share the nomenclature cards, the 3-period lesson with the nomenclature cards. And that's the end of this presentation. I would like to, at this point, take this a little further with you and show you what happens when I try to find all 3 medians, because every triangle will have 3 medians, okay? So I found the midpoint of this line. I'm going to go ahead and find the midpoint of this line right here. And again, I'm going to do it exactly the same way. I'm going to make my circle a little bit smaller because it's a smaller line segment. All right, I go to one endpoint, I make an arc above and an arc below. Got to keep track of which arcs you're working with. Then I go to my other endpoint and I make an arc above and an arc below, and I find my two intersecting. And if I join those two, that's going to be, this is the midpoint of that point. All right, so that if I'm going to draw another median, I'm going to go from this midpoint to the opposite side. And there is the other median. All right, I'm actually going to connect that. Okay, so I've now found a second median. So the only median I haven't found yet is for the longest side. I need to go ahead and find the midpoint of that and then draw the last median. So let's do that the same way. I can make this a little bigger. Try and make it bigger so I don't get confused. The arcs will be further from the others. Okay. So I can go to this endpoint, make an arc above and below. Okay. And I go to this other endpoint, I make an arc above and below. So without getting confused with my two dots, there's one and there's the other. If I connect them, I'm going to find the other midpoint, which is right there. Hope you can see that. All right, there's my other midpoint. And I'm going to connect that midpoint to the opposite side, the opposite vertex, to give me the third median. Okay? To give me the third median. There are my three medians. You will notice that they come together. They come together at one point. Okay? And this has a special name. And I'm trying to find what it is because I don't remember. Haven't gotten to that lesson yet. It looks like it's the centroid. Let's see, centroid. Yeah, okay. So this point where all three medians intersect is called the centroid of the triangle. All right, now I am showing you this whole thing together. You would not do that for students. All right, you would stop after you found one median and you lay out the nomenclature cards and then you move on. But this lesson comes around again when you talk about what the centroid of a triangle is, and that requires you to draw all three medians. So I just thought I'd show it to you right here so you knew how to do it. But it's a totally separate presentation. Definitely third level work. Any of the compass work I think is third level work. You can teach compass work for first and second levels by having them just use the compass, teach them how to make circles, have them make really pretty designs. That's a beautiful first and second level activity for the compass. You could also maybe do the compass for the parts of the circle lesson, which comes a little later in this album. You'll see that on the EdVid videos. But geometric constructions with the compass is definitely third level work, and you may even have some third level students that won't have the dexterity to do this, okay? But it's really cool, and for any of these things that I'm going to show you, any of the different lines for triangles, you can draw all three of them and they'll come to an intersecting point somewhere either inside or outside the triangle, and they all have different names, and it's really cool work. Kids love it. Okay guys, that's it.